Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'm your host, ArmaniTalks, and in this channel, we're covering communication skills so you can level up your confidence, charisma, and brand presence. In today's episode, we're going to be deconstructing humor so we can understand what makes funny people so damn funny. Humor is a lot like what electricity used to be. Before knowing the electricity that we know today, when it was first being played around with, it was more so a form of entertainment. There were different people that were shocking one another. And when you shock someone, this is a funny motion. And since this is funny, I wonder if other people would, let's say, want to be shocked. So there were different people that were shocking other people as a form of entertainment in street shows. But this wasn't enough for a man named Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin said something along the lines of, "We're humans. And what separates humans from savages is that we're able to observe the natural world. We're able to run experiments on it. And eventually, we're able to systemize certain principles in order to make sense of what's around us. Why can't we do that with this strange little shocking motion?" He wanted electricity to be something more than entertainment alone. So he worked on it, he ran experiments, and the rest is history. Because of Benjamin Franklin, we have technology sort of like the ones we do today, sort of like the one that I'm using in order to communicate with you on a different side of the world. The reason that all this ties back into humor is because in the context of your life right now, humor may just be a shock. It may be something that you find entertaining, something that you find to be funny. But do you understand how humor works? Do you understand why funny people are funny? What makes you laugh? Or do you just blindly react? It's good to blindly react because with humor, you don't want to make it too logical. You don't want it to be X, Y, and Z leads to this. Because then you're taking the color out of the emotion. So in today's video, I don't want to break down humor too much in a logical sequence. I want there to still be the magic behind it. But still, I want us to understand this emotion to a deeper degree because this emotion is one of the most powerful things that you can generate in other people. If you want to learn how to influence, how to be charismatic, rather than focusing on all the right things to say, make someone just laugh once. You become much, much more memorable. So in today's video, I'm going to share a little story about the day when I realized how powerful humor is. And hopefully from this story, you're able to be inspired to find separate moments from your life where humor was so powerful. And from there, I'm going to talk about active and passive humor. That's all you need to know, active and passive. Once you understand the difference between active and passive, you're going to be able to see which one suits you more. And we want to get to that level where we're able to do both, active and passive. So this is going to be a holy grail of humor. You're going to learn a lot of new things. And if you're excited for this episode, make sure you drop a like for me right on below. I was able to understand how powerful humor was a couple of years ago. I was basically taking a train from Tampa to West Palm Beach, Florida. The train was supposed to show up at 2:03 p.m. It's roughly that time, no train in sight. 2:15 p.m., still no train in sight. 2:30 p.m., still no train in sight. At this point, myself, along with the other passengers, were getting irritated. There's no announcements as to why the train is late. There's no announcements as to how late the train is going to be. And everyone that we're asking has no clue how late it's going to be. So we're getting agitated. Eventually, it turns 3 p.m. At this point, we're all starting to let others know how agitated we are. I'm going to miss my appointment. Don't these people know any better? I'm never riding with this group again, blah, blah, blah. As the 1 hour mark had passed on by, there was a security guard that was walking right by us. He could see how agitated we were. He stops and asks us, "What's wrong?" And at this point, we just let him have it. "Don't you see? We've been waiting for so long and there's no announcement regarding how late this train is going to be. I'm never riding with you guys again." Now, the security guard was caught in a bad position. Here he was, just asking people how their day was going, and now he's getting yelled at. But he knew some crucial information. He says, guys, the train is going to be here in 1 more hour. Just stay patient. And the fact that this guy knew all this information about when the train was going to come just made us even angrier at him. Man, why don't you come before and let us know? So this was a bad situation of us just shooting the messenger, and the security guard was being hit hard with a lot of tense emotions. The security guard could have easily been angry back, but that's not what he did. You know what he did? He told us a joke. He's like, hey guys, I know that you guys are angry, so I want to tell you guys a joke. Everyone's silent. I didn't want this security guard to just be left hanging, so I was like, what's up, bro? What's your joke? He stops and he asks, why did the bird go to the hospital? Why did the bird go? I don't know. To get a treatment. And before I even had a chance to process what he just said, I just started laughing. And you know, whenever one person laughs, there's other people that just start joining in as well. Well, that's what happened. And soon, everyone's just like laughing and everyone's saying different comments. Bro, man, that was so corny. Someone else is like, dude, man, that's a good one. And someone else is like, dude, I gotta let my friends know in the group chat this joke. Point being, everyone is just laughing. Everyone's in a good mood now. 5 minutes before the security guard had shown up, we were tense. We were ready to kill someone. 5 minutes after the security guard had shown up, we're joyful. We wanted to hug someone. Do you see the difference? What was the difference? The difference was that the security guard was socially intelligent. He was able to flip us on our axis by just making us laugh. Even if you consider the joke corny, that's not what matters. What matters is that he was able to release endorphins in someone else. Endorphins are feel-good chemicals in your brain, and these are the chemicals you always feel whenever you're laughing. The power of humor is that it allows time to collapse. After he made us laugh, we were in such a good mood that the hour that we had to wait for the train to show up just flew on by. And if you compare that to the hour that we were waiting in tense, angry motion, night and day, same amount of time, but the humor one felt way faster. So let me just reiterate. Being able to make someone laugh collapses time. Time no longer exists for them. That is why humor is so damn powerful. So you want to take some time and you want to think about a story on when humor was able to help you out. So if you're able to personalize this story for yourself, you're able to delve into it. And the next two concepts that I'm going to talk about is going to make much more sense. You're going to want to play around with it. And the next concept is the difference between active and passive humor. Just like with listening, how there's active listening and passive listening, is the same thing with making someone laugh as well. Let me just talk about listening for a second, just so the humor part makes more sense. Active listening is where you're having a conversation with someone and you're asking questions back. You're contributing. You're asking them to clarify certain points. Not only are you listening, you're extremely active in the process. Passive listening is different. It's where you're a little bit more disengaged with your talking and you're listening more. Say someone's brother just passed away. This is a good time to do passive listening. Rather than asking questions like, are you sad that your brother passed away? Tell me more about this, talk, blah, blah, blah. You're just listening. So there's active and passive listening. With humor, it's a similar concept. Active humor is when you are going in with the goal to make someone laugh. And passive humor is when you are not going in with any goals and still you make someone laugh. So active humor is extremely similar to what that security guard was able to do. He came in, he knew that he wanted to make us laugh because he could see the tense situation, and he said a joke. That right there is what we call active humor. Passive humor, on the other hand, is where you're just sort of being yourself. You're just sort of talking about your day, and suddenly you make someone laugh. So one example of passive humor is a few weeks ago, I was writing a tweet where I said, I was just joking around with myself, and I used the phrase titty boy in the tweet. Now, titty boy is a phrase that me and my friends, we use with one another just to be lighthearted, be funny. But this is an inside joke that I use with my friends. But when I brought this inside joke into the world of Twitter, other people were reading this tweet and they were laughing as well, even though I never had the intention to make them laugh. So you may have situations like that as well, where you're just sort of talking about your day and suddenly someone just starts laughing nonstop. That right there is an example of passive humor. Now, active versus passive, which one is right for you? Honestly, that's something that only you can answer. If you ever want to be a comedian, or if you ever want to start a YouTube channel, start becoming a storyteller, being able to do active humor is great. That's where you are telling jokes. Now, this one requires a little bit more of a thick skin because there will be times where others aren't laughing at your joke. They probably have no clue that you're telling a joke in the first place. So my main tip is to just smile a little bit more. Change up your tonality anytime that you are actively telling a joke. So you're guiding their mind towards humor. If you're smiling, then it makes it seem as though that what you're about to say is a joke, rather than if you're being completely stone-faced. And some people, they're able to do the stone-face, but if you're warming up with active humor, you want to get in the habit of telling more jokes. And a joke, all it comes down to is what we call a pattern interrupt. With the security guard, he was able to interrupt a bunch of different patterns. First of all, he talks about why did the bird go to the hospital? That's already something that grabs our curiosity. And when he said tweetment, it was a play on words. Twitter, tweetment, treatment, etc. But it was a pattern interrupt. And when the pattern interrupt is strong enough, when you made someone completely unexpect what you just said, that's when they have no choice but to laugh. That's active humor. Now, for some of you guys, you may be not comfortable just telling jokes with other people. Okay, so do passive humor. And passive humor just comes down to giving yourself the permission to be funny. And with passive humor, you're not trying to do anything. All you're doing is you're doing your best to just be informal. Be yourself. Just talk about your life in the way that you normally talk about your life, and just be a little bit more relaxed. And any conversation, the more that you're practicing and the more that you're getting to know someone and they're getting to know you, there will be many moments where laughter just naturally emerges. That's called passive humor. Eventually, you get to a point where the two worlds collide. Dave Chappelle is a brilliant example of this. I mean, with Dave Chappelle nowadays, it just seems like he gets on stage, he's just talking about his day-to-day life, and there are multiple people in the audience that are just laughing. So what he does is he's getting on stage, he's basically just talking about his life in a passive way, and yet the interpretation in other people's mind is that he's trying to tell them jokes. Even if he's trying to tell them jokes, he's been practicing so long that it just becomes organic, it becomes natural. It doesn't even require too much conscious effort on his end. And even if it does, the audience, it doesn't feel like it. So all in all, humor is extremely powerful. It's something that's always going to allow you to be different, always going to allow you to stand out in this world. And if you're kind of just curious about where you begin, analyze your personality. If you want to take the leap and tell more jokes, then tell more jokes and play around with it. Be bold like that security guard was in that tense situation and play around with jokes. If other people don't laugh, they don't laugh. But at least what you did is you're stretching your mind to behave in a different way. That's active humor. With passive humor, just give yourself the permission to be funny. And the only way that you're going to do that is by turning conversations from being super formal to more informal. Do your best to talk to people like you've known them your entire life, like they're your best friend. And the more that you can do that, the more informal that you're being, and the more jokes that you're just naturally able to say. And eventually, after doing both of this for a long amount of time, the two worlds just began to merge with one another. And that's just a quick little recap of what humor is all about. We didn't go too much in detail today because I don't want us to go too much in detail. We want this to still be a fun process. We don't want you to become too much head focused. We just want you to understand the basics. Just be a little bit like Benjamin Franklin. Know how the game works. And with all that, you just want to ask yourself, which humor are you personally more comfortable with? Which one do you think can help you out more in context to your life? And from there, just keep practicing and practicing away. Humor is a skill set, and if you made someone laugh once, you could do it a million more times. Today's video helps you and you want to learn more about social skills and charisma, be sure to sign up for my free daily newsletter in the description box right on below. Thank you for joining the Armani Talks YouTube channel, and I'll catch you on the next episode.